Howdy guys, it's Luke at Geekgaming Scenics, and in this video I'm going to show you one of the best online stores I've found for buying small scale terrain. It might come as a bit as a surprise because I was quite shocked. It's not something I've ever thought about. And I want to show you what I've ordered and why I've actually ordered it rather than doing it myself. I'll catch you after this.
This video is sponsored by Dragon Trappers Lodge. The Dragon Trappers Lodge is creating miniatures for you to use in D&D, from characters, monsters and even terrain. They also release a massive mobile lodge every month that makes a great centerpiece and a hub for your campaign. They come pre-supported and ready to print. Don't worry though if you don't have a printer, you can order them printed for you with all the links below. Each set includes stat blocks to use with Dungeons & Dragons 5e with that month's minis in your game. This month's set is the Journey Through the Astral Sea. It's a treasure planet vibe with minis from various crews and 3 different ships. There's even a free model you can download and try and print out yourself. Dragon Trappers Lodge have got an amazing offer this month. If you're a new Patreon to theirs, you get any of the previous releases in addition to this month's release for free. You just need to sign up and drop them a message and they'll sort that out for you. So spice up your campaigns or just your miniature games with Dragon Trappers Lodge. Thanks for sponsoring this video guys, you've got an awesome product. Now back to the video.
So guys, these small games that we're going to be looking at are like 6 and 10 mil. I'm going to need an entire new skill set. Don't have any tools or like rollers or things like that for making terrain at that smaller scale. But the benefit of small scale stuff, it's closer to like the model railway and scale modeling market. So there's stuff out there. When I started pricing everything up, I was like, it's starting to add up. And then all the time, me to try and teach myself to make smaller stuff, I was like, surely to God there's some pre-made options out there. And I had a look and there was nothing that really took my fancy that was on the popular end of it. Or you could get bits, but you couldn't get like a full range that sort of fit the style that I wanted for, say, fantasy, for example. So then this pushed me down the avenue of looking at like 3D printable scenery and companies like that and thinking, well, I'll downscale them. I'll print them myself. But the problems with that is you're taking a large building, you're shrinking it down to like 10, 6 mil. They've not been designed for that. So the problem is some of the smaller details become very weak, especially if you're printing in resin. And it's a lot of faffing around, especially if they're multi-part, because as soon as you make them really small, there's slight shrinkage issues, which the smaller it gets, the worse it's going to be. And whichever way I looked at it, it was going to be a problem, or it was going to be more work than it's actually needed. So I did some more digging. And then I found Etsy, which I've always been a bit funny with Etsy because it's loads of just like people like me in a bedroom doing a bit of business on the side. And I was like, shall I take a risk? And I'm happy that I did. So let's show you. Now, I've never really thought about Etsy, but I've literally went on there and put 10mm terrain. And the option of stuff that's on there is ridiculous. Now, the popular one that came up that seems to have a lot of things seems to be Telford 3D printing. And there's like little ruin sets that you can get for like £6. And so there's just no point making them for that sort of price. And it uses the Dark Realms stuff. And I've been looking at the Dark Realms stuff because I really like their fantasy houses and everything they did. Which again sort of ties in with me doing it myself, but I don't really have to. Somebody's already done that work for me. Now, the one thing that really got me about this range is the fantasy houses, because I'm doing like sort of fantasy 10mm stuff, and I'm even thinking about doing 10mm more dying. And I was like, well, you can buy like 3-4 rise houses for as little as like 6-12 quid a piece. And what put me off doing a Mordine table, what's put me off doing like these large terrain tables at normal scale is the fact that a building can cost, for a small little ruined one, can cost 25-30 quid. Whereas they do like little housing packs and big sets that are very, very affordable. So my first order, I bought a few little bits. And when that came, I was very, very pleasantly surprised. And I ordered a far more, as in I went back on and I think I ordered like 150 quid worth of this stuff. And I've got more buildings than I could ever need. And these buildings open up, you can get inside and everything else. Now, I'll show you the detail on them in a second. Now, the other company that I looked at, so like some of these rules have got like siege rules, okay? So I'm wanting a castle. So the castle that I found was a design that's been originally done by Kilometer Forge, I think that's how it's pronounced. And there's a company in the UK called Mighty Minis UK, which is like a little 3D printing company. And they have a siege wall set for 10mm, which is 60 quid for a nice little castle. Now, I know that sounds quite expensive, but I bought the £85 set. And if you're going to make a castle, and especially one that looks as good as this, that's already pre-scaled and everything for you, it takes a lot of time. And I think buying a full huge castle for playing your siege stuff for like £65, £85 is more than acceptable. And again, this is not a company I've ever used. I'm not being paid by them. I've not even told them that I'm making a video. But I ordered these and they took a couple of weeks to come. The stuff off Etsy took about 2 weeks. And the stuff from Mighty Minis took about 3 weeks. It did have a notice on there saying he's got a lot on at the moment, so delivery times might vary, but I wasn't in any sort of rush for it because I knew that I was doing these videos in November. And when they came, and when I realised they'd come in FDM, I was shocked. So let's show you these products that I've ordered. I'm always put off by ordering off Etsy, but now I think I'll use it more often for stuff like this, because for the sake of £6-7 a model, and not having to print it yourself or mess around, and getting to the time of year where we do get failures because of temperature and stuff, it's just small scale terrain's cheap, and especially when you're used to buying 28mm stuff, makes a massive difference. So let's have a look at the models. Now, what I like about these buildings as well is the style of some of them that I've got is if you were going to do like Lord of the Rings, like a small scale, like Osgiliath or something like that, they'd fit really well. And the fact that they're really strong and they open up, and the catches and everything on these, so you can just push them back together, is great, even with how small they are. The one thing that I'm really shocked about is literally that you cannot see the layer lines. There's some that are apparent, but not in the sense that dry brushing highlights them. And that's what I'm really shocked by, as in I quickly painted one up, just sprayed it black and dry brushed it grey just so you could see that the layer lines are hardly apparent. And the detail on these for small scale terrain is ridiculous. You can tell that these have been made for large scale things. Now, what I really like about this castle is just the way that it goes together, so you don't have to actually build like a piece of terrain. You can use it for multiple settings, whether you just want it on a board edge or everything else. It goes together with like little jigsaw pieces. And modular terrain for me is normally a big issue, but when it's like this and it's for game systems that you don't usually play that often, like sieges and that, having an option like that just joins together so you don't have to build a big castle and then that's how it's going to be is amazing. Let's just stand up and make a few like layouts with this castle to show you how good it is. And I must admit, this table's from FlexiSpot, and they've got a Black Friday deal on at the moment, and if you're really interested in getting yourself a standing desk for doing work like this, check all the links below, guys, because they're on offer, and for hobbying, stood up and stuff, absolutely amazing. All links are below.
Now, this castle fits together great, and as far as modular terrain goes, it's about as good as it gets, especially at this scale, because it's not something that you're going to use all the time. Now, the quality of this, with it being smaller, is pretty good. There is some hairs like you get when you use a hot glue gun, but it's really simple to get rid of them just with like a lighter, for example, and it just burns them away and it will smooth it out. When you zoom right in, you can see some visible layer lines on the castle model, but it's that small. By the time we've painted this, I don't think it'll be that noticeable. And the best thing about it being in FDM, it's super strong. I can just pack this up and throw it away. I don't have to protect it like I would with resin terrain. So I'm actually going to look into FDM printing for this sort of scale stuff, because I've got a few FDM printers I'd like to play with.
So guys, I hope this video has been just kind of helpful. The buildings and the castle and like the trees and things that I've purchased have really saved a lot of time and a lot of money. And the fact that they've been printed in FDM is an eye-opener to me, to the point where I'm actually going to build up my 3D printers and have a go at doing this myself. I didn't realise on the smaller scale stuff you could get that quality on FDM printing. They're so durable, you can throw them in boxes, and that's what you want from terrain. And the fact that there's people out there on things like Etsy selling them at such an affordable rate, it's crazy. And the only thing I can't say is obviously it doesn't come next day. You have got sometimes a week or two to wait, because obviously they're making them to order. But if you're patient enough, it's well worth the wait. Obviously, I can't hold my hand up and say everybody on there is going to be the same. I might have been lucky with the companies that I used, but for me, it's an option for the small scale stuff. I don't see the actual point in hand building something. If I can pick up a building for 3 or 4 quid, or even 6, 7 quid for some of the bigger ones, what's the point in actually making some bits yourself? It's far better than I could actually make it, and it comes relatively quick and paints up relatively nice. But anyway guys, if this video has been helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you know of any resin buildings or companies out there that actually make proper kits and things for this sort of scale, let me know. I'd love to check them out if I've missed them. And let me know what sort of terrain and things that you like to do with your small scale stuff. If you'd like to support the channel, guys, don't forget to check all the links below where you can buy my Scenics and support us, and there's Patreon and things like that. And check out the companies, guys, and especially the sponsor of this video, because that also really helps. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you again for the next video. Love, love, love.